have this.
I mean, she put on a big jumper and I didn't know she was pregnant. You're filming now?
Yes.
So stop talking.
No, you can keep on talking. But I just thought I'd start it and then I can like see as we go. You can't really see either of your faces, you can only see mine. So, yeah. You can't see yours because it's your back and your head is obstructing Simon's face. So it literally is rectangular.
Yeah, well.
Awesome. Well, should we start?
Yeah.
Lovely. So, I thought today what we're going to talk about is the management of eczema. And the reason I wanted to pick it is two reasons really. One is I went to probably one of the best study days I've ever been to, which was a King's Allergy Academy study day on allergy in the skin, where I felt like I learned a lot extra about the management of eczema than I've known before. And also because I think it's something that we all see very commonly in peds and in adult medicine as well, but in paediatrics, and probably be slightly undermanaged in that we're very good at educating parents on, for example, the management of asthma, but eczema, which is sort of as common and probably does cause similar levels of distress and difficulties at home, we often just, I also used to just prescribe them some creams and give them a prescription and sort of send them off to the GP. So I thought we could talk a bit about how we could improve our parental education. So, really simply, what do you understand about eczema? What would you say it is? How would you diagnose it?
So it's one of the atopies, which is characterised by dry and excoriated skin, particularly in flexural surfaces, with lichenification if it's severe. It's IgE mediated?
It can be, yeah. So it can be.
Maybe associated with asthma or anything like that.
Yeah. So it's one. It's a dermatitis. So it's essentially an inflammation of the skin, and what you get is you get sort of some keratinocytes, like desquamation. You get very red, sore skin that is very intensely itchy. You get breakdown of the skin barrier, so you get this excoriation and this weeping. And classically, what you get is this sort of itch, scratch, itch cycle in children, where they itch it, it's itchy, so they scratch it. The scratching makes it itch more. They itch again, and they kind of cause real skin breakdown. And Tom, do you know where you tend to see eczema? And so classically, I've got a couple of pictures just sort of these are not super clear. So in babies and like little toddlers, you've got it, classically you get it on the cheeks, and you can get it more on the extensor surfaces in babies and on the trunk. And then as you get a bit older, you tend to get it classically in the flexion area, so your elbows and behind your knees, and you can obviously get it around the fingers as well. And this girl has quite extensive eczema. You can see, if you see on this screen, you can see a lot of lichenification.
Would you actually call that podfix?
No, that's eczema. That's chronic
Okay.
eczema with sort of really thickened lichenified skin that's very
Oh yeah, it's better on that screen.
Yeah, it's better on this screen actually. So you can see that it's really, but that little boy is more like what we traditionally see as eczema. So why do you think eczema might be a problem?
Older children get a lot of anxiety if it's
Yeah.
treated well. It's painful, irritating, common.
Yeah, very good. Simon, what do you think?
It's very unpleasant to live with.
Yeah.
It's challenging because when it's bad, actually the management is quite labour intensive for parents, and getting them to do that can be quite difficult. And it's also a risk in terms of getting unpleasant infections. So if they get viral or bacterial infections, which can be life-threatening.
So I think the reason why you basically covered all of them. So I think in little babies and children, it's distressing because it's itchy, and for them it's probably more the fact that it's the itch makes them uncomfortable. But you can imagine also for parents, I think it's quite distressing because it looks quite unsightly. I mean, it's on the skin, and in little ones it's often on the face as well. So it doesn't look nice. Everyone kind of wants their baby to be beautiful, and it doesn't. My husband had really, really bad eczema when he was a baby, and my mother-in-law has pictures of him, and she shows them to me and goes, "Oh, wasn't he gorgeous?" Horrendous. I mean, he was this like eczema covered 6-month-old that you're like, really didn't look that nice. And then in older kids, as you said, it's actually then for them then it becomes quite distressing because of the fact that it's very unsightly. So the picture of the girl with the hands and the torso, that really distressed her because of the fact that, you know, she felt like at school she didn't want to show her hands to anyone, so she started wearing fingerless gloves because it was so embarrassing. And what else can you sometimes say, especially in the older children, can you ask them about that will give you an idea of the severity of the eczema? It's a little bit like you do with asthma.
I mean, things like days off school, I
Yeah, that's very good. Exactly. So I think nighttime waking, so amount of sleep loss because of itching, and days of school are a really good indication of how severe your eczema is. And a lot of the eczema health scores actually assess sort of the impact of the disease on you in terms of those factors. And if you're missing, you know, time off school, if you're missing sleep at night, automatically your eczema gets upgraded to sort of a more severe. So if we now think a little bit about maybe sort of the management of eczema. So I sort of split this in various categories. One thing is sort of your lifestyle. So what sort of things could you do in terms of your kind of lifestyle to maybe make your eczema a little bit better or not make it worse?
Clothing.
Yeah, so what about clothing?
So probably quite pleasant to wear, like woolly clothing and stuff like that. So basically things that would irritate the skin any further.
Perfect, yeah. So cotton clothing is often what's recommended rather than rough fibres. And I think in America there's a trend now for sort of dermasilk, which is this like special silk prescription clothing, which is very expensive, but hasn't actually been proven to be of benefit. So it's not something we routinely do, but that's yeah. Anything else?
Not using soaps, hand soaps, and things like that.
Yeah. So any soapy, bubbly products need to be out.
Considering whether there's food-related triggers. So, I mean, it may require actually testing, but if somebody notes that they particularly have a reaction when they eat nuts or something, then considering whether that's associated.
Okay, and what we'll do is we'll come back to sort of allergies, food allergies and eczema a little bit later on. Anything else? What about baths?
So using, well, replacement of soap in the bath with whatever emollients you're using, and also putting a bath additive in rather than using like bubble bath or just plain water.
And what about, should they bath as often as we do? Should they bath every day? Should they bath less frequently? There's no evidence. So they normally recommended to bath the same. But it's something you'll often find. You'll find people with very severe eczema. Some children will come and they maybe only bath twice a week because they've been told that it can be irritating to the skin. So and it's more of a case of, as Simon said, as making sure that they're bathing with the correct emollients and soap substitutes, and then it shouldn't be. And it's actually quite a good time to use some of the other treatments as well.
Right at the end.
I kind of think if they don't.
Let's just do a little quiz whilst and then we'll come back to what we've talked about so far. Yeah.
If they don't bathe or wash frequently or as frequently, then actually there's a kind of idea that what you're going to do is prevent like sites for kind of dirt and grime, and then we'll actually get kind of vertiginous reactions and things like that. Because, you've got stuff all over your nails that don't wash, particularly if you're scratching.
I think generally it's, you can see why they don't, people maybe think that they shouldn't bath so much because they think of it as drying, but actually it is important in sort of in the form of cleaning the skin. And I think the other thing about it is it's a good time to give some of the treatment. So, what about house dust mites? So you'll find that you're being clinic or you're in A&E or in a GP practice, and parents will come honestly desperate because the mum spends all of her time, they've picked up all the carpets. I've definitely had a patient patient where they've taken off all the carpets in the house, they vacuumed every day, they had protective mattress covers, protective pillow covers, sort of to try and avoid house dust mites.
So I think it's an unwinnable war actually. Like you're never going to get rid of house dust mite, and I think the problem with some of those measures is so like I had asthma as a child. I used to have asthma, it was worse as a child, and I particularly remember somebody came and gave some demonstration of a Hoover on my mattress, and I had the worst asthma attack of my life and ended up in hospital almost immediately after that because it brought everything out and into the atmosphere.
So what the evidence has shown is that there's no evidence that reducing house dust mite exposure improves their eczema. And what they found is that most children with eczema are sensitised to house dust mite, so they will react on skin prick test or RAS testing, but actually by reducing the load, if anything, it seems to make the eczema slightly worse rather than better. So if parents ever do come and ask about whether they should invest in all these products or remove everything, the evidence we can find is it shows that there's no evidence that that will improve their eczema. Good, so we've talked about sort of things in the environment that you can do. So we've talked about how bathing is important, but we don't want to use soap products, how we don't want to use woolen clothing, but cotton's better, house dust mite doesn't help, removal doesn't help. So what about the actual management that we tend to prescribe? What's sort of the mainstay of eczema treatment? The cornerstone. So emollients, so like moisturising creams. And what do you know about emollients?
There's a massive range of emollients. So generally speaking, when I prescribe for people, it's been basically that they needed a kind of cream or gel-like emollient which seems to soak into the skin, and they've often also had a very thick, if they're on the worst end spectrum, they've found that they use a very thick emollient, particularly in the areas where they have the worst eczema, but they cover their body with the thinner emollient, and then the thicker stuff they tend to use, say, on the backs of their hands or in their flexural surfaces. And then what I think actually happens is that people prescribe what makes the drug rep that they've met and what they know from the top of their head or cost. And in fact, I think what from my experience actually, it's just that because they all use different base oils, it's very much that it's whatever oil works for that particular person because they may react to some of them. So some emollients might make them worse, not better.
So it's not normally the oils, because a lot of the emollients are basically paraffin-based, it's the preservatives.
Okay.
So exactly as you said, so there's different types, and I actually went upstairs to the dermatology centre and got a little selection. So what you've got is you've got things like your lotions, which have a lot more water, and they are obviously quite liquid, they're quite cooling on the skin, they're quite easy to put on, they're quite easy to absorb, but because of the fact that they've got water in them as well, they're maybe not as moisturising as other things. You then move on to creams, which are a bit thicker, also can be quite cooling, but again also contain water in them as well. And there's a whole range of sort of different consistencies, different products, and gel-like textures, different substances. And then you move into your very greasy things, or your ointments, and that will be something like your 50-50, which basically is just very ointmenty, or Cetraben ointment, which is over here. I'm not picking it up, look at that. And these, because they don't really have water in them, don't tend to have preservatives, so it actually work very well. And in fact, they probably was the best thing to put on, because it's the different preservatives that people get sensitised to. The problem with it is that they're really greasy. So you can imagine that if you're putting this on in the morning before you go to school, actually it's going to ruin your school uniform, and it's not probably that feasible in terms of people's life to put this on multiple times a day. So what you might find is that what you actually end up prescribing is something more gel-like or cream-like for the morning, for them to put on before they go to school, and then something more ointment-like for the evening when they can put it on after their bath, get completely sort of greased up, and then have a bit of time for it to go, and then they go to sleep. And it's normally that combination that tends to work best. And what's, I think, important to explain to parents and to children, if you're talking to teenagers, is that it might take a bit of time to find a cream that they like. So they've all got slightly different preservatives in them. Some will find some work really well, some will find that others don't. So it is a case of trial and error, and there's a huge list of different types of emollients, and you can look in the BNF and there's hundreds. But we've got some here. So one thing I thought would be quite good is to look at how they're meant to put the emollients on, because I thought I knew, and then I went to this study day and found out that actually in my mind I was doing it all wrong. So it's probably quite good that I wasn't educating parents, because I would have been telling them the wrong thing. So, Tom, what would you think you do? And I'm going to give you this one. I'm going to give you the ointment. Try.
What
So,
do you mean,
how would you apply it?
I think with it, then it's done on like hands, like how much
So you are thinking of something, but not for emollients. So we'll come back to that.
Kind of the instructions.
Yeah. I mean, it's not really a trick question. Like, how would you apply like it's like a
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Sort of massage it in.
How would you take it out the pot? So there's a cue. Yeah. So one thing that's important to tell them is that they should never put their fingers in the pot, and that's because they're going to contaminate their ointment or their cream, especially ointments that don't have preservatives. They are going to grow bacteria in it. So it's really important that they use like either a spatula or a clean teaspoon, and they get that off. Good. So have a go. That's fine.
You're going to
We'll
regret
go with
that.
that.
That's for the whole body.
Yep. And then,
put it on your hand.
okay, shall I show you?
Yeah.
So what you do is, so you get a moderate amount, and then you put it on your skin, and then literally all you're meant to do in the direction of hair growth is to kind of sort of smooth it on, and you leave it. And I've put loads on. My skin isn't particularly dry, so this is going to stick there for the whole of the teaching session. But you basically leave a really thick layer, and you just do it in that direction. And you don't, which is what I thought you did, was rub it in, because actually what that does is it can cause obstruction to the follicles. It can also make the inflamed skin more inflamed than it is. So they literally just meant to kind of wipe it on, and then that's going to take, and if you have very dry skin, that will probably take about 30 minutes to absorb. So they need to factor that into their routine at home. So they need to think maybe in the morning they put their emollients on and then sit there and have their breakfast, and in the evening they maybe put this on after their bath, and then go downstairs and spend some time with the family, and then wait for it all to be absorbed. So it is quite time consuming and quite greasy.
It's quite unpleasant, isn't it?
It's quite, it's quite sticky, so I might go and wash my hands. And here what you've got is, this is double-based gel, so you can have a feel at how that differs to that, and you can stick your fingers in these pots now, because I'm going to discard them. And there's also some bath additives, so you can like